He said, Brian, where did my ETH go? That was a common question. Where did my ETH go? And it reminded me of, there's this book called Guns, Germs, and Steel. It's an old school book. It was written by an author. And it all started with a question from somebody in Papua New Guinea when he said to this author, he said, how come all you guys in the West have all this cargo and stuff? And he had to go through like 1,000 years of history to explain it. And my student was frustrated, Sandeep, because they were doing Uniswap for the first time, and it provided an amazing service that you couldn't get, say, a year and a half ago. But they were paying so much in gas fees. Some of my students were staying up till 3 a.m. to avoid the gas fees. And I thought that would be a good question to ask you is, where did my ETH go? The reason you guys are in business, the reason you guys are so popular, and why is that a question people ask? And why do people struggle with this?
For sure. So, the first part of your statement that, that people are doing like this here, the rate of innovation is so fast because at the end of the day, we call it something called composability, right? So one smart contract can interact with some other smart contract. And if you see in the span of like 6 to 10 months, actually smart contract developers were able to build everything that is available in the traditional finance industry. The traditional finance industry has taken like hundreds of years to build these complex products and all that, credit default swaps, interest rate swaps, and this and that. All of that has been built, within a span of 6 months on blockchain. So
congratulations. It's impressive. It's impressive.
It's called financial engineering on steroids, basically. Right. So that's the first part. But the second thing that you were saying that, where did my ETH go? So first of all, I would like to state that why ETH is why the gas fees is so high. And then we can go into what other mechanisms are possible to, make it more palatable, at least for the retail users. See, at the end of the day, Ethereum is basically the goal of Ethereum is basically to become a world computer. And I tend to call it like the global settlement layer, right? So where all these big trades and big, complex financial transactions will be settled. And that's our philosophy, is that Ethereum is going to be that layer. Why? Because it's extremely decentralized and extremely secure. That means so many people are running the full nodes in the network that, when you are transacting, when you're doing or processing a transaction logic, a large number of people are executing the same logic. So obviously, in order to incentivize people to keep this extremely secure and decentralized, you have to pay for this service, which the whole network, you are essentially, when you pay it goes to the miners who are mining the, or kind of creating these transactions, combining them and putting them on the block. And then the block size, you can imagine that already for the whole world, it's like in a single block we can have roughly, I think, 300 to 400 transactions, right? So obviously you can imagine that this is for the whole world. So people have to compete to become a part of this or to buy a part of this block space because it's extremely, again, the reason is extremely decentralized and extremely secure. So, but then, how the retail users who have less than, let's say, $500 or $1,000 portfolios, and they want to do these smaller trades, how can they do these or interact with the blockchains? So for the same thing, there is something called layer 2 scalability, and that's what we are working on, right? So layer 2 scalability simply means that, we keep the layer 1 Ethereum. Like, imagine that this is the Ethereum, layer 1 Ethereum. And then what we do is we create a parallel blockchain on top of, which is running on top of this, which derives some security parameters from Ethereum. And then instead of you transacting directly on Ethereum, you transact on this layer, right? As a retail user. And that, you do, let's say, thousands and thousands of transactions. And then let's say, for example, Polygon, what we do, we combine all these transactions, batch them in a cryptographic way, and put one transaction on Ethereum. So whereas, like, you would have paid 1,000 transactions, and 1,000 transactions would have to compete to get this block space. Now only one transaction and some data goes there, which is a condensed form